Okay, so in the next tutorial, let's see the Minimap and Worldmap features of the map system. So here basically I'm going to cover like how we can set up a level that has been able to display some Minimap and Worldmap, and then we are going through each and every individual component and to get a better understanding. So we start with the Minimap, and I will briefly explain about its architecture. It's a sort of like a layered architecture to render these Minimap elements. And then we'll take a look into Minimap icons, which ultimately represent some specific element on the level. And then the world map architecture and world map icons. And some of the icons on the world map can be configured as selectable fashion so that the player is able to select those stuff. And some of those selectable icons can be used for the fast travel, which means some may be specific points that player can traverse quickly through the level. Likewise, there are a lot of features, and also waypoint is also there to specify a specific location on the level. Okay, so those are the contents that I'm going to cover in this tutorial, and let's go to our project. Okay, so the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some sample level on the maps directory so that we can start with the basic stuffs. So I'm going to simply create a new folder called test, and over there I'm going to create a new level which is empty level and simply create it. Okay, so there is nothing there, and I'm gonna save it on maps test directory, and I'll call this one as map_test. Okay, so this is just an empty level. And now the first thing we have to do is we have to go to the blueprints directory, and under the managers we have to paste all of these managers onto the level so that the level will be configured. Okay, so the level manager is the one which ultimately maintain all the level specific features such as landscape or any other elements like that. The navigation manager is the one that controls the pathfinding. Later on we're going to discuss about how the A-star pathfinding algorithm is being used to render some paths on UI and things like that. So the navigation manager will be used to implement that nav mesh on top of the level. And the NPC manager is there to control the NPC AI behaviors, and the TOD manager is a important component which ultimately handle all the lightning and sky atmospheric features on the level. Okay, so let's paste all of them in one by one. It doesn't matter where you paste it, it just need to be instantiated only once at the level. Okay, so I'm gonna add level manager, navigation manager, NPC manager, and look at what happened once I paste this BPTOD manager to the level. It automatically add the sky and the lightning effects for us. Okay, so you can go through each and every individual manager instances like this and configure them. So currently in the level manager the landscape is there, which I have to specify later on, and the NPC navigation manager actually implements the specific requirements for the pathfinding and the nav grid construction specific parameters, things like that. Also, I have added some debugging capabilities as well, so that if you need, you can do some debuggings as well. Okay, so this stuff will be important for the development purposes, not for the production actually. But anyway, I'm gonna disable this debug pathfinding right now, because later on when we are discussing about the pathfinding section, I will show how we can use this debugging features. Okay, then we have NPC manager. Again, this is just a very basic manager instance, so there are no specific configurations for the manager. But if you want to implement some much more complex NPC behaviors or any other scenarios like that, then you may require to sort of extend the features of the NPC manager and expose some of the parameters to the outside as well. Okay, right. And the TOD manager is again configurable, like you can specify whether to enable dynamic time of the day or what sort of time of the day configuration that you are going to apply, and what is the exact specific time on the level. Okay, so currently it is just 10 a.m. so we have this daylight, but let's just say if I switch it to 20, then this is night time, and you can see the moon is there and the level has got darker. Okay, but I think 10 would be fine because we just need some lightning effect on the level like this. Right, now let's add a landscape. So I'm going to simply add a very basic landscape over here. I'm not gonna make it much more complex, so maybe 31 by 31 would be enough. Okay, and I'm gonna simply create it and switch it to the selection again and play the level, and you can see the map is there. Okay, but you can see there is a warning message printed down. Actually it's not a warning message, it's a inbuilt logger message print on the screen called map data not found, which means it can't render the minimap or Worldmap properly because we have to configure the map data properly for this specific level. Okay, so you have to go to the data tables directory, and over there I have map, and go to this data table dt map data. Okay, so this basically specify the very basic configurations for the level in order to implement the map, right? It could be a minimap or Worldmap. So for example, if you take a look into this map showcase, here you can see I have to specify the level name and whether it's going to auto resolve the map size or not, or if you're going to add some custom map size to be rendered, then you have to specify that as well, and what sort of a minimap texture that you are going to use, and what's the scale factor, and what sort of a Worldmap texture that you are going to use. Likewise, these are the basic configurations for the map system for each level, right? So you can go through each of these levels and see how those stuff has been configured. And similarly for this map, which is map test, we have to add another record here so that it will be able to initialize, right? So I'm going to add another record by clicking this add button, and I'm going to name that row as map underscore test, and the same name I'm going to use for the level name as well, because that's the exact same name that I'm going to use for this level, and make sure they are exactly matching, otherwise it will print that error again. And I'm not gonna hard code the map size, and I'm gonna let the map system to automatically resolve the map size, so that you don't need to calculate the map size by manually. So I'm gonna simply make it as auto resolve map size. Right, the next important configuration is minimap configs, and we need a texture. Okay, so texture means usually it's a top-down texture that needs to be captured to this specific level, and then either you can use that same texture as the level texture for the minimap and Worldmap, or else you can post process it and get some customized, polished version of the texture. Okay, and let's see how we can do that. But first, I think it would be better if we add some landscape material on top of this level so that it will look nice. So I have been added some demo grid materials under the example contents. No, not the example contents. Let's go to the Lyra materials. Yeah, under the demo Lyra starter materials, here you can see there are some demo grid materials that you can use, and I would prefer using this blue color one. So I'm going to select that material and select this landscape again, go down and simply click this arrow on the landscape material, so it will apply that material to this specific landscape. Okay, so now you can play and see the landscape is there and that material has been applied, and you can already see that map data not found error is not there, and the minimap is visualizing properly, but still it has to be rendered that minimap texture. And you can press the M on your keyboard and you can see the world map menu is also appearing, but currently there is nothing to be visualized because we have to configure it. Okay, right. And also make sure to go to the level manager, and under the level manager at the setup landscape, make sure to select that landscape as the default landscape for the level manager. Okay, so later on when you are implementing pathfinding and other stuff, this one would be referenced over there. So make sure to apply the landscape over here on the level manager. Right, now let's adjust this level little bit, because as you can see the location is sort of offset like this. So these are like default offset provided by the Unreal Engine if you add a new level. But I think it would be better if you start your level at the origin point 0 by 0 by 0, so it will be easy for you to extend later on. Okay, so you can use either this specific standard, you know, sim level, or maybe some level clustering, or some specific custom level rendering. You can do whatever you want. The only requirement is it's better if you are starting with the 0 by 0 by 0 origin point. Okay, and yeah, now if I play it, okay, the player is appearing a little bit off. So for that, it's better if we add some player start component on top of the level, so that it will always start from that specific point on the level. So I'm gonna add a basic player start component and maybe adjust location a little bit right here. And if I play now, our player is not spawning on the air, it's simply starting on that specific player start position onward. Okay, right. Then the point that I mentioned before, which is map texture capture. Yeah, so for that I have added the utility, and you can go to the blueprints, and over there is a utility called BP scene capture. Okay, so this scene capture is a utility to actually capture the minimap or the level texture in top-down view like this. Okay, so you can see at the very top it has been attached this camera. So this camera is capturing a real-time texture on the level, and you can simply take a screenshot by using this utility. Okay, so here you can see under the setup category you can adjust its image resolution, quality, its name, spring arm length, things like that. But before doing everything, make sure to position your camera to the origin point. Actually, it's not the origin point. I would like to say it's the midpoint of the level, so you can have a well-balanced capture. Okay, so either you can manually adjust its location like this, that's also fine, or the easiest way is simply click this position camera option, so it will be automatically adjust your camera capture at the middle of the level like this. Okay, then here you can see the real-time preview of the scene capture, and it seems it's only capturing a specific area of the level. So I think we need to adjust this spring arm length, right? So you can see the more I adjust, we have a better view of the level. And I think maybe 2 times of this value will be the better spring arm length, right? Because our map size is actually 2 times this value. So the same value should be applied for the spring arm length in order to get a better capture, and maybe with some minute offset. So 2 times this value means basically 24,800. So here you can see this is a beta capture because it's covering the entire level. Okay, and as the map capture name, maybe I will rename this one as tmap test, and the image quality may be 2 times quality of this resolution, and simply click the capture. Okay, so now you can see if you go to this directory, usually it's saved at the your project saved screenshots windows editor directory, and here you can see our map texture is there. Okay, but you don't need to actually use this same image on the level, because we only need to render this rectangular shape area as the minimap or world map, which means you have to cut this specific image in a precision manner. So there are various options. Either you can simply crop it by using some sort of a image editor tool, or else there is a fast way of cutting or actually creating the map textures, which is using this tool, which is this one. Okay, which is map texture creator. So this tool is written by us, Elseware Games. It's a very basic Python application. So if you familiar with Python language, then you can refer to the code base as well. So here basically we are using some NumPy specific features and CV2 specific features to properly cut the map texture by using provided capture like this. Okay, so if you need to go through the source code, I will provide the link, or you can simply go to this link and refer it further. And this is an open source project actually. So if you are willing to maybe contribute new features for the map texture creator, or maybe if you see some places where it can improve the code base or maybe the performance, then you can do all those changes to this repository and simply open up a pull request, and if it seems valid, we will review it and merge it to the master branch, so the other people will be able to get the benefit out of it. Okay, so if you are a tool developer, then I think you can contribute this to project as well as open source contributor, right? But for the general audience, if you are only looking for the packaged application, then we have released an initial version of the map texture creator as well. So simply go to the releases category, and over there you can choose whatever the latest version that it currently has. So currently it's only version 1.0.0 by 0, which is a initial release, but maybe later on when we are adding more features or maybe fixing some bugs or improving the code base, maybe the version number could be changed, maybe the new version could be there. But anyway, we would recommend to use whatever the latest version that it has on the releases category. Okay, so you can simply go to the map texture creator and you can simply download this binary. So it's just a zip file, and simply extract it on your directory, and the application will be there. Okay, so if you properly downloaded it and extracted it to your directory, it will be look like this. Basically it has an in folder to add the input texture, and it has an out folder which ultimately generate the properly refactored texture that can be used for the minimap or world map texture on the map system. Okay, right. So also here you can see there is a config file where you can configure the tool based on your requirements. So these are some machine learning properties that you can apply or that you can configure to get a better result. But I think these basic values or default values would be fine. And to some color variations, you can configure this stuff as well. And based on the input captured image format, you can extend this extension list as well, but most probably your input capture will be comes under this extension, so probably you don't need to change this one. And these are just for the debugging purposes, to print the debug logs on the terminal and stuff. Okay, right. And I think these default configurations would be fine. And then what you have to do is you have to go to the Windows editor directory on your project, which holds that specific texture for the level capture, and simply copy it and paste it on the in directory. Okay, so make sure it goes under in folder, and then simply execute this exe. Just double click it. Okay, so it will ask for this admin permission and stuff. Simply click run anyway, and you can see it's processing. It will take some time because it is applying some machine learning algorithms and some computations to make a perfect cut. Yeah, so once it processed has been finished, the terminal will be automatically closed like that, and you can go to the out directory and you can see the properly cut texture will be there. Okay, so you can see there is a small color adjustment compared to the original texture, right? So this is the original texture and this is the output texture. So there is a small color variations for the level, but as I mentioned before, you can adjust the configurations according to your requirement, but I think this color would be fine. And also you can see there is no bluish background on this level because it has been post-processed properly and removed it like that. Okay, now we can use this texture directly on our Unreal Engine to implement our Minimap and Worldmap. So currently we are holding such textures on the textures directory, and you can go to the textures directory, and under the maps here you can see all those textures are there. So I'm gonna simply drag and drop that texture to here, and you can see sorry, this is not the texture because that's the original texture. That's not the one I need. I need this one, the processed one. So I'm going to simply drag and drop that texture to here, and you can see it's there. And make sure to configure the compression settings as user interface 2D, because since this is a user interface element, it would be better if you are going through this specific configuration. Right, now at the map data for the minimap texture, I will add that texture, and as the scale factor, maybe I will refer to the same scale factor, which is 0.2, right? But you can adjust the scale according to your requirement, but I think this would be fine. And as the world map also, I'm going to use the same texture, right? But if you need to use a different one, you can do that as well. Okay, right. Now if I play it, okay, you can see the texture has been appeared. And just to verify whether the texture is aligned properly, you can go to the limits of the level and see how the minimap behaves. So you can see when I'm at the edge of the level, the player icon on the minimap also at the edge of the level. And if I go to this corner, the player minimap is also on the edge of the level, right? Which means it has been configured properly. Also, you can verify it by going to the world map as well. So if you go to the very bottom of the level here, you can see the player is there. Okay. Also, you can scroll through the world map by simply pressing the right click, and if you press the left click, the waypoint will be appeared, and if you press the middle mouse button, the waypoint will be removed. Okay, right. So if I go to the somewhat distance location like this, and now you can see the player minimap also has been updated. Also at the world map, now the player is there. Okay, right. So that's a brief about Minimap and world map. And now let's take a look into the architecture behind the Minimap. So Minimap is basically implemented as a layered architecture on the user interface elements. So here you can see it holds certain layers, right? So this is the widget for the Minimap, and it implements certain layers on top of canvas panels, right? So at the very top we have actually the very top is means the whatever the component that renders at the bottom of the rendered frame, but even so you can configure it and the CEO does the canvas panel. But anyway, so this is the first layer of the minimap, which is minimap BG, or the minimap background, which is whatever the level texture that rendered like this. Okay, and the second layer is range layer. So range layer we will discuss later on when I'm talking about the range and other stuff. So basically, if your level has some range or like some specific point of interest, then such elements will be rendered on top of this layer. And we have path layer. So path layer means, again, I will discuss this later on. So the path layer will basically render the A-star algorithm based path to a dedicated target starting from the player. Okay, and finally we have the minimap icon layer, which ultimately renders the minimap icons on the minimap as the icons. Okay, right. And the same logic goes for the world map as well. So if you go and check out the world map menu, actually the world map menu is somewhat complex because it has multiple different components. So if you go and check out the world map menu, it has world map, it has fast travel button to perform the fast travel, it has world map info category, which is this category. Basically it will list down all the available unique minimap elements, and it has this one, input category, to visualize the consumable inputs of the map system when you open the world map. Okay, but mainly I think what I'm interested on this component, which is WB world map, which ultimately implement the map system specific elements for us. Okay, so let's go and open up the world map, and there also you can see it has a layered architecture, but we have only one canvas. Okay, so the reason behind having a one canvas on world map but having multiple canvases on minimap is basically the Z ordering of the rendered elements. Okay, because we need to render minimap icons explicitly out of the minimap no matter what. So that's why the minimap icons has a dedicated canvas panel, but for the path and range stuffs can be clipped to the canvas panel. Maybe whenever we go out of the bounds of the level, whenever the player go in a distance locations, then such ranges or such path should be clipped out of the minimap. Otherwise they will be rendered out of the UI, which will not appear quite good. Okay, so we have a dedicated canvas panel to do that clipping. Also you can see under the rendering, the clipping is configured as clip to bounds, which ultimately perform that clipping. And for the minimap background, we have a dedicated canvas, because no matter what, that specific canvas should be updated according to the player movement, and it is simply a reference to the level landscape, so it has a dedicated panel. Okay, but compared to the world map, we can basically encapsulate all of those layers as a, one by one in a single canvas, because the world map is rendered as a single component, right? There are no much interactions, but still you can see the player can't move, or the other NPC characters or mobile characters can't move because the game has been paused and this is not updating on real time. So that's why it can have a very simple one canvas panel, because there are no clipping and stuff as well. Okay, right. So that's the architecture behind Minimap and Worldmap. Now let's see how we can add some Minimap icon which ultimately invoke element on the Minimap and the Worldmap. Right, maybe I will speed the camera a little bit. And where is our player? Right, the player is here. So let's just say, yeah, let's add some interactable element. So here you go and check out the blueprints, inventory, maybe interactables, and maybe I will add this one, BP plant. Okay, so this is just a very simple blueprint which implements a plant. And right, and then here you can see it has a map system invoker. So go select that, and over there is a configurations that you have to specify. So basically all of these map invokers has a dedicated data table. So you can see each and every individual elements that ultimately render a minimap or world map icon has its own configurations. So for example, I'm interested on this one in my plant, so I have to specify what sort of icon that I have, what is its size, what is its tint, things like that. Okay, and also the type should be configured as well, because this one will be ultimately referred to render that world map info category that I shown before. Okay, also the name should be displayed, and you have to configure this stuff as well, whether it can be selectable, whether it can be used for fast travel, whether it should be disappear on the out of the range, things like that. Okay, right. So you can actually experiment this stuff, but anyway, you can go through those showcase levels that I already added, and you can see the different configurations that I have over there. Right, and here you can see if I played it, it won't render a minimap icon or world map icon, because under the map system invoker, under the minimap and world map icon category, you have to enable this icon first. Okay, because if you haven't enabled it, it will not notify to the minimap or world map widget to render this as an icon. Okay, but now I selected it, and if I play it now, you can see that icon is there. So minimap is able to render that icon, and also the world map is able to render that icon. Okay, and if I consume this element, you can see the actor will destroyed, and also the same time minimap icon and the world map icons are destroyed. Okay, right. So that's basic stuff about minimap and world map icon. And important to mention that this is a static item, right? So this is just a non-movable item. But how about movable items, right? Well, for that, let's just add some NPC. So I'm gonna go to the characters, blueprints, NPC. Maybe I will use this red NPC. And if I play it, you can see the icon has been appeared on both minimap and world map, but the character can't move. Why was that? Yeah, because we have to add the nav mesh volume to our level. So I'm gonna quickly add the nav mesh bound volume like this and assign it to 0 by 0 by 0, and maybe this is not the location. We have to use this location because that's the midpoint of the level. Okay, then as the brush settings, I'm gonna give maybe 2 times this value over here and here. Okay, so now you can see the nav mesh bound volume is been covering the entire level. Also, for the debugging purposes, you can print the P keyboard and see how the nav mesh has been implemented. Okay, right, now if I play it, the NPC is able to move, and you can see the player icon of the minimap icon of the NPC is been updating on real time on the minimap. Okay, and if I go to the world map actually implement a static preview of the character, because whenever you are going to the world map, usually the game should be paused. But if you are having some sort of multiplayer game or something like that, then it won't be paused and it will be updated. But anyway, under the current configurations, it is static like this. But at the minimap, it is updating on real time like this. And if you go to the world map again, this is the updated or the latest capture or the latest location snapshot of that specific icon holder. Okay, right, so that's a bit about dynamic waypoints, dynamic minimap elements. And and how about waypoints? Actually, I think I have to discuss that as well. So you can simply press left click on anywhere of the level and simply paste the waypoint like this, and I'm going to simply add the waypoint over here, and you can see at the real time on the level the distance indicator will be displayed, and if you go to that specific location, automatically that waypoint will get disappeared. And also you can paste it again and it will be there, and if you need to remove it, you have to press the middle mouse button and it will be removed. Okay, right, so that's the waypoint. Again, the waypoint has been implemented using that map invoker. So map invoker is the component that we are going to use to notify the map system about the context that we have been defined on this data table. But mainly if you go to the blueprints, interactables, and here you can see this is the blueprints for waypoints and stuff, and all of those blueprints implement this map system invoker. Okay, and you can go and check out the map system invoker component over here, which is the second most important component of the map system, and understand its implementation. So I have been categorized it properly to the functions and name them properly, and organize the variables and stuff, so you may be able to get a better understanding quickly. Okay, so these are the configurations that I mentioned before whenever we are configuring. Right, then how about selectable icons? Right, so currently you can see if I play the game and go to the world map, even if I click this icon, it can't select because at the data table under the plants is selectable is been marked as false. But if I make it true and play again and go to the world map, and now you can see I can select that specific plant. Okay, if I select it again, it will be deselected. Right, and how about fast travel? Right, so the fast travel, basically, let's just say I have a distance location over here. Maybe I will use some, I don't know, maybe let's use another interactable over here, right? and go to the map system invoker. Under the Minimap Worldmap icons, I'll enable that icon, and now you can see if you go to the world map, the icon has been appeared over here. So now how I can perform the fast travel, right? So in order to perform the fast travel, you have to enable this can use a fast travel option, and if you do that, if you select this icon, you can see automatically there will be a fast travel button appeared at the bottom of the menu. So you can simply click it and you can fast travel over there. Okay, and if you click over here and fast travel over here, right? So that's how the fast traveling is being implemented. And here, as you noticed, if I spawn from here, I can see only one plant icon, but not this plant right over there, right? Maybe I will I don't know, maybe I will edit over here, right? Now you can see the plant icon is been disappearing when I'm out of the range, but if I go close to it, it is been appeared, right? But let's just say you don't need to do that. Then all you have to do is you have to simply disappear. You have to simply mark this disappear on out of range as false, so that it won't get disappeared, right? So no matter how you change your location, it will be always clipped to the bound of the minimap like this. Okay, so this is very useful whenever you are using some mission system or some quest specific elements on your level, because those targets always should be on the minimap. So in such elements, you can make that disappear on out of range as false. And also you can animate the icons as well. So all you have to do is simply click this animated icon option, and if you play it now, you can see there is a small bouncing, not the bouncing, actually small pulsing animation has been applied. Okay, so you can use whatever the custom animation that you want, but here I think this pulsing animation would looks good. Right, so those are the configurations, but I would make it as default configurations like this because it would be nice. Okay, so that's all about Minimap icons, Worldmap icons, and how you can make them selectable, how you can use for fast travel, how you can animate them, things like that. Okay, right, I think we have discussed a lot, but it's worth discussing all of those stuff, because if you are a beginner for the map system, it is essential to have that knowledge first to implement a very basic setup for the map system. Okay, so nothing's complicated, it's very simple, but you know, there are a lot of features that you can reuse or even extend based on your requirements. Right, so that's about this tutorial, and in the next tutorial I will discuss about distance indicators.